Hola. Hello, everyone. This is your Texas bilingual realtor, Elizabeth Miranda. Welcome to Casa Y Vida. Each week, we interview local community leaders, business people, entrepreneurs, artists, and just everyday people from the great state of Texas. We love sharing information about our city, our beautiful state, and of course, our Latino culture. And now, let's listen to this week's podcast. Well, welcome to our show, Casa Y Vida. My name is Liz Miranda.
Hi, this is Laura Ramirez, co-host, and we are joined today by Sharon Lee Zapata. She is the No Filter author. She is an artist, also has her own podcast, so she's a host of her own podcast, Middle Finger Happiness, and we're going to hear more about her. So welcome, Sharon.
Thank you for having me.
Yes.
Yay.
Now, Sharon's certainly she's going to be an entertaining guest because I've heard her podcast, and if anybody's ever heard her, she is very entertaining.
Thank you. And we bring value.
That's a good thing.
Yes.
So we are going to start off, by the way, we hadn't told you this, but we ask an icebreaker question to all our guests. It's for our new podcast. Yeah, so we've got our fancy little questions here. Okay. Now, in fact, you know what? I'm going to let you pick one.
Oh, Lord.
That way, it's your own fault. Whatever you choose, it's on you.
It's on me. Okay. Do I read it? Is this like a Chinese fortune cookie?
I'll read it. Yes, that's what it is.
Is this a Chinese?
And just so you'll know, you get one pass, and that's it. After that, you do have to answer.
So I don't have to answer.
But nobody's ever taken a pass.
Yeah, so
you want to be the first one.
Take the challenge.
Let's see.
So the question, your icebreaker question today is, would you rather become a popular celebrity whom some people hate or be a normal person whom most people love? That's a good question.
Just a normal person. Because at the end of the day, those people are normal. They think they're fancy, but they take a crap just like us, and they have problems. I'd rather just be a normal person that's going to...
Well, that's true. And I guess maybe your choice is between normal. You're focusing on between being normal and being a celebrity. You don't really care about the celebrity part, but you also don't care about being hated.
No.
Right?
I mean, you can just get in line.
Yeah.
There's people that don't like
And that's funny because I would have thought you would have picked the first one, which is, celebrity that, is hated by some.
And why is that?
Just because you don't have any filters, you don't care. I mean, not in a bad way.
Right.
Not in a bad way.
For certain ways. We were just talking about that, but no, I'd just be a regular human at the end of the day because those people, they're humans.
And I don't think it's about. I don't think it's that you don't care about not being liked. I think you just.
I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah, you're just doing your thing.
You just have middle finger happiness going on.
Everybody should do their. Yeah, everyone should do their thing. Is basically
right. And it's hard because sometimes, as people who are in media like you guys, we are approached. I don't know if are you approached in the grocery store?
Oh, not yet. No, not yet. Hopefully,
we're not there yet.
Are you? Tell us your story about.
I have a good one. I was at HEB, and I was going down the aisle, and then I saw a person go down the aisle, and then. The next person's going, she's following me, and it was sweet though. It was a real nice, hey, are you Sharon? And I'm like, yes. I'm like, did I pay my bill? Did I, did I mess something up? So that was neat. That was neat. And then it just happened. It's happened.
Oh, wow. No, that hasn't happened to me. That's happened to me at networking events. I don't go out much, but at networking events, people come up to me now and they say, oh my gosh, I love your shows. I'm like, oh, thank you. But they talk to me like they know me. And so it's kind of like, a little uncomfortable because I don't know them. I feel like they think I know them because they know me so well, but I don't know them.
Well,
so that does happen.
I had this moment in my studio. You've been to the studio. And so I had a moment where it's a friend and I couldn't remember his name. And we're talking and he just does this. You don't remember my name, do you? And I'm like, no, dude. And he's like, he tells me his name. I'm like, oh my God, that's so embarrassing.
Yeah, but
it's hard to remember.
They should have put you on the spot.
Yes, they
that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That was a good question.
So of course you've written several books, and I have the titles here, but I'm wondering which is the first book that you wrote?
The first book? I wrote a book. Ooh, I'm going to date myself. Back in 2007. Okay. Old book. I wouldn't even buy it. It was called The 12 Secrets for Successful Hispanic Women. Very generic. It's out of print. If there's somebody trying to sell it right now on Amazon, I think for $400. But that book sucks. It just was it wasn't me. And so I won't go into all the details, but a big time lapse passed through. And then these books are my babies. I love these books. I bleed on the keyboard every time I write.
So the last 3 books, which are the ones Sharon's referring to right now, is the first one is the Little Book of Startup Inspiration, and that's actually how Sharon and I met.
Yes.
I went to a pop-up shop. I think it was Boss Babes on Silver Street.
Yes.
And I saw Sharon there, and what attracted me to Sharon, first of all, was her personality. She has a
really?
very fun personality. Second of all, she was wearing a Ninja Turtles t-shirt, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I love that t-shirt.
I have a picture of
My
us
favorite
with
t-shirt.
you.
Yes,
with you
I
wearing
do
the
have that
shirt.
picture. You have to
And
repost
I saw the book, and at the time, it was about entrepreneurs, and I thought, well, this is fun, and I thought I could, learn something about being an entrepreneur. So I grabbed the book. You signed it. I still have my copy right here.
Thank you. Yeah.
And I read it, and when I read it, I realized it was a funny book. It wasn't, bland and this is how you become an entrepreneur. No, it was fun, and it had great inspirational
and it has
quotes.
an advisory on there.
It sure does.
It's warning you.
And I thought,
It
this
does.
is interesting. It sure does, right at the bottom. And I saw it, and I'm like, well, this is my kind of book.
But read the whole title because it's got a
Okay, let me read the whole title. The Little Book of Startup Inspiration. 20 Lessons Learned the Hard Way, damn it, from the most outrageous year of my entrepreneurial life.
Yes.
So
That's
it's-
from Harvey, losing everything after Hurricane Harvey.
Okay.
That's the purpose of that book. So Harvey hit us August 25th,
Okay.
2017.
Yes.
Right?
Uh-huh.
My house flooded for the second time, but this time really bad. And then the clients that I had, I lost. Depression kicked in because I do have depression and anxiety. I don't shy from that. But it really, I was just like, did your house flood?
No, it didn't.
Yeah.
But I
No,
can
mine didn't, thank
imagine.
God.
Oh my God.
But it was a very difficult time for everyone.
It was for everyone. Now, some people lost everything. My neighbor across the street had water up into their attic. So, mine was up to my calves, but it was a lot. So I really decided, okay, how can I got to redo. I have to redo. And so the 20 lessons learned the hard way, damn it, where, you know what, I had to pick myself up. I had to redo a lot of stuff. And then there's some funny stuff in there.
There's some awesomely funny stuff. And going back to, to your comment about, depression, anxiety, it's a lot of people, like you said, shy away from talking about it.
Oh, we all have it, I
But
think.
the cool thing is, and I think in some form we do, especially since, being through like the hurricanes and the devastations and the flooding and all, we're very prone to it in this area. But going back to that, I love to listen to your podcast. So I'm total like fangirl today talking to you because you're one of my favorite authors. And also I listen to your podcast. And I'll be honest with you, and I've shared this with you before. Your podcast last year really got me through a very difficult time, and I'm thankful for them because
shared that with me.
I did
Thank
because
you.
a lot of people don't talk about depression and anxiety, and I was in that phase in my life when I listened to your podcast, and just listening.
Do you remember what episode it was?
I listened to all of them.
Because you see the titles that I have.
Oh, I heard. I was listening to them yesterday.
and you kind of, some of them are just fun titles, and I think one of them was about Christmas, but you talked about depression in that episode
and
too.
how to deal with it.
Yes,
because it is for real.
Yeah,
It's not
it is.
a fake thing or just snap out of it. I wish I could snap out of it. And you're a counselor,
Right.
So you understand that.
I do.
But I have to say something back to the little book of inspiration.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
do you guys remember about 2 months ago here in Houston, we had a bunch of rain. Like it was raining really, really bad.
Yes.
Okay. So my husband and I are laying in bed and it's late. We hear the rain pouring and he's like, God, I won't say what he said, but he's like, man, I hope it doesn't flood. We both have PTSD when we hear a lot of rain. Well, the next day I was talking to people. There's people that have issues when it rains heavy because we went through that.
Right.
And I think I do too. Now that you're saying it, I remember feeling that anxiety of the rain. And I didn't flood, but I almost flooded. My sister's house completely flooded, but I almost flooded. And and I mean, it didn't. It just got like to the middle of the yard.
still
But I had my 3
stressful.
grandkids with me.
Right.
Stressful.
And so I was so stressed out, thinking, what am I going to do? I have to put them in the roof, whatever on the roof. I I was worried about them. And I do notice that every time it rains heavily now, I freak out. I worry about
I just read an article somewhere in one of the magazines here in Houston locally. I can't remember which one, but it talked about there's a group of people who started this meetup because they do have. It's not like they're sitting at home, moping about it, but when it triggers, it just has that
does.
trigger. You're like, oh my God, do I start putting things up? I'm sure a lot of people in Houston have that.
We do, and also even just a little detail that we do all the time is just driving. If the weather's going to be bad, we change our plans. I know I do.
Yeah.
I start thinking, I'll go only if it doesn't rain.
So I have a fear of driving in the rain, and I looked it up. I can't even pronounce it. There's a phobia.
Oh, wow.
Like, okay, a little sprinkles I can handle, but when it's like those windshield wipers and you can't, I'll pull over to Whataburger or wherever and just sit there and wait.
I will too. But I think that
Yeah.
especially now after the hurricane,
Oh,
I
yeah.
went to San Antonio about 2 months ago again with my grandkids, and I stopped. I pulled over 3 times. As soon as it started raining, I pulled into a McDonald's or whatever, and I waited. And they're teenagers, and they're like, impatient. I'm like, no, I tell them, I'm
Right.
sorry, we've got to do this. And
Yeah.
and I'm there watching the radar on my phone,
yeah, on the
and then as
phone.
soon as I see that it passes, I go. And so I pulled over 3 times. The same thing also with this show. I had a show where we canceled a couple of months ago because it was raining.
really
and I'm
bad.
like, you know what? I'm not going
Right.
to make any guests come over, expect them to come over in the rain. I don't even want them to come. I worry about that. So no, I think we're all traumatized about the rain.
That's okay.
Exactly.
For sure.
Exactly.
Get through it.
So then, of course, going back to your books,
Okay.
of course, and your titles of your books, which was your second book?
The Middle Finger Happiness. Work hard, live well, don't F with me. I was clean.
You did it.
I kept it clean.
So tell us about that. First of all, how did you come up with that title?
Okay, so I have a little tattoo here, Middle Finger Happiness. So in 2016, I think it was 2016, it was during the holidays. If you read the book, I was
Yes,
just
I did.
having one of those moments where I was like, nope, I'm not going to that house anymore. I'm not going to that party. I was having an F-it moment. We've all had that F-it moment. And then your checkbook is just getting, sucked in. And I said, you know what? I'm going to make some changes. And I made some changes. This is even still difficult for me to talk about, but I was raised by a narcissist, abusive mom up until 7. And then the physical stuff stopped, but the mental forever. And then when I was in my 40s, I was like, you know what? F this. I cannot have a relationship with her. And I don't. So I wrote about that. And it's funny and it's dark because if you can't laugh at the stuff you've been through,
Exactly.
I mean, comedy is dark. Comedians make fun of their lives all the
true.
time. So I was the winner chicken dinner. I was the one that, went through all that crap. But now I don't say the word qualified, but I feel good that I can help somebody who's been there. And like, this is how you get over it. You can't blame your past. You can't drive looking in the rearview mirror.
Yeah.
So what do you do to overcome it? So therapy, self-help books, writing is therapy. So that's how Middle Finger Happiness came along. And there's stories in there of you just have these moments where, you know what, people are going to look at you differently when you decide to change the way you look. Maybe you want to lose weight. Maybe you want to do a different haircut. Maybe you want to quit jobs. Maybe you want to leave a bad marriage or people are going to, do that. And so you have to have that middle finger happiness no matter what point you are in your life.
Exactly.
But it's funny that I get it, I understand it because I've been there. That sometimes you just got to say F it. And I remember one time I was thinking about it. Knowing that I was going to interview you today, I started thinking about it about a friend of mine that I had. That was back in the 90s. I remember I was like depressed. I wouldn't say depressed, but just really just having I had broken up with someone and I was just taking it really bad.
Really bad. Yeah, we've
Depressed,
all
taking
been
it
there.
really bad, and that's not like me at all. But I was like really taking it bad, taking it hard, and I'm there with my best friend and her husband, and it was actually his best friend, and so I'm over there moping and complaining and blah blah blah, and he goes, Liz, just say F it,
Yeah.
and keep going.
You got to
Just
keep
say
going.
F it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I thought about it. And I said, you know what? He's right.
That's what
Just
strong
F
people.
it.
What strong people got to do
Just
that.
F it.
Oh,
And
yeah.
ever since then, I've always done that. That was, like I said, several years ago. And ever since then, I let myself mope a little bit. And then I'm like, you know what? F this. And I'm going to keep going.
And
you gotta
there's
do that.
good that you can do that.
Exactly.
There's some people that stay in that dark wormhole
Yeah.
and they can't get out of it for whatever reason. They don't know how to.
Right.
Yeah, you've got to learn to give yourself permission. Like I give myself permission to be upset about something. Something happens. I'm like, okay, I'm going to have a couple of drinks. I want to be sad today. But then in the morning, I'm going to get up and say
Right.
F this, and I'm going to move on forward. You got to do it.
Right.
You've got to get to that point where you
But
can
then
do
when
that.
you have depression that's really depression, I've been in those spells for you're like, you just don't even want to get out of bed. You don't want to talk to anybody for weeks. And your family's like, what's wrong with you? You're like, I don't even want to talk to my family. So in order to
that's
fix
different.
that, that's different. So in order to fix that, and again, I go back because you're a counselor, physical activity, what is it you're eating? What are you listening to? I mean, but the best thing that I've learned is volunteering for
I was
somebody
gonna say
else.
that.
Your gratitude.
Yeah.
You cannot be depressed and have gratitude at the same time.
Exactly. They just
Yeah.
can't live in the same place. So you're exactly right. That really helped me.
It helped you?
Yes.
How did you do it? What did you do?
Well, that's one of the, going back to your podcast, when I listened to that, I thought, giving back, doing something for someone else. And you have to be able to do that. Like you said, they can't live in the same place. So, that really
Giving
catapulted
back.
me, yes.
Well, back when Harvey, I was in my house and I was really down, and I decided I'm going to go volunteer. So I went to Harvey Hub Harvey, and we went to this place, and there were 500 people in line just to get, food and clothing. And this one woman, I'll never forget, came with 2 different shoes on, didn't have a bra on, had 5 kids. They're all crying. They're dirty. They're hungry. And I'm like, oh my God, I have no problems. No problems. And I helped her. I remember giving her some extra money. But when you do that, when you take yourself out of your little funk and then go, okay, well, there's always somebody in a worse situation.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But I mean, so.
Yeah, and I agree with you what you're saying. Serious depression, of course, is totally different.
It is.
I'm talking about just little episodes. When you have your little episodes, you can just say F it, whatever. Just feeling sorry for yourself or just having a bad time. Just say F it. But when it's more serious than that, I think everybody copes differently, and certainly taking your mind off of it, I would imagine, would certainly help. I was on my way over here, I was driving and I was listening to Tejano music, which I never listened to it. I always say I don't listen to Tejano music because then I want to go out to the clubs.
Dance.
I want to go out dancing. So for some reason I said, okay, I'm not going to be listening to a podcast because I have been listening to podcasts, I don't know, all year long. And I decided to listen to some music, and I just had some very lively music coming over here, and I was just happy. I was excited. And I'm like, what a difference it does. It makes
absolutely.
when you're listening to, something that's happy.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We don't have TV in my house. We got rid of cable TV 5-6 years ago.
Oh, I don't have cable.
We have Netflix and Hulu, and definitely music. And so, like Matt said, streaming your music in your home. So, music's. I can't live without music. I mean,
and you have control of what you're watching, what you're listening to. Because honestly, I have to be honest. When I had cable, all I did was listen to news.
Oh, wow.
I woke up listening to the news, and then at night
depressing.
it was very
Very
depressing. So I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need to pay for
So you
this.
changed that. You gotta-
Hulu and Netflix is all I do, and
something
podcasting
funny.
and music
Exactly.
now.
Exactly.
So, you know what? Before we go on to the next question, let's take a little bit of a break. We're just going on here having such a good time.
I know.
So we're going to go ahead and take a little break and thank our sponsors.
Okay.
Getting approved for a home loan is the first step when buying a home. To submit your loan application, call Susie Kondolopoulos with Gateway Mortgage Group at 281-250-2696. Susie is bilingual in English and Spanish. Again, that is Susie Kondolopoulos with Gateway Mortgage Group at 281-250-2696.
Okay, we are back now with our show. We are with Sharon Lee Zapata, the No Filter author. She's writer, artist, and podcast host of Middle Finger Happiness. And she is here today with us, thankfully, in our studio. And we just want to talk to her a little bit about her business as well. I know that not only are you a fabulous author and artist, but you also are a entrepreneur. You have your own business. So tell us a little bit about the Zapata Group.
So the Zapata Group came about in 2015. I got laid off. I was a recruiter, and there's no law in Texas. It's just, we just know you're not happy here. I was actually one of the top producers. Long story short, it was commission based, and I was let go. It was probably the best thing that could have happened to me. I immediately went to a friend of mine who's a corporate attorney, and she's like, you got 10 minutes. Tell me what's going on. She told me, she's like, you need to just go and start the Zapata Group. Get the hell out of here. And she goes, and you need to start writing. I miss your stories. And so the Zapata Group, I did not even know how to make a Facebook page. I had someone make it for me, and for a whole year it sat there empty with nothing because I didn't know what to do with it. And then I decided, okay, business development, we do copywriting, content, web design, logo. So it's a communications company. And then I really took social media seriously. So from that date to now, and I'm working with somebody now who's helping me with gather all my stuff. We counted 22,000 connections on social media in 4 years. Now, that's what I did in 4 years. It takes time. It's not overnight. But the Zapata Group, that's what we do. So it's in the studio along with the podcast and the art, which A lot of people didn't know I was an artist.
Yeah, I didn't know that either. I just found out yesterday.
Yeah, you've seen
Listen
the
to your
artwork.
podcast.
I've seen your artwork.
Liz has been the. I just don't tell people, hey, I'm an artist. I think it's kind of weird to say that, but I've always been an artist. I always have been.
So now, do you do social media for other companies?
I have. Right now, I'm not. I had one client. It was a shaving company, and it was some changes, and so we're not doing it. But it's a lot of work.
Yeah,
It's a lot of work.
But you have a brand, yeah. But you have
we
a
have
brand.
the brand now,
You are a
but
brand.
we do social media. Actually, have somebody joining my team this week, and he's going to start doing those things for some clients. So yeah,
Okay, awesome.
and digital marketing. We do digital design, websites, that kind of stuff.
Awesome. And of course, you also wrote another book,
Yay,
right? Your
the last
most
one.
recent
Latest book.
and it is.
It's
Go ahead.
it's a new day. Don't be a head.
And I love the title. And it even
How
has
do you
the
come
little,
up with these
the
titles?
little poop emoji on there.
I was emoji. Well, that was Hector Garcia's, my friend who designs my books. That was his little idea, and I was like, oh, that's cute.
That is so funny. How do you come up with these titles? First of all,
Man, I grew up with a lot of stuff in my household, and believe it or not, I was a quiet kid. I was quiet because I was listening to everything, and then I don't know what happened to me. By the time I was 17, I was like, it just all came out.
Everything you had been listening to just came
Just
out,
all
right?
just everything. I was like, oh, it just came out. But I've seen all kinds of crazy stuff growing up in a Latino household.
Yeah.
Like really bad stuff.
Well.
But it's funny. So you're like, okay, when you see a drunk uncle throwing a trash can lid and
Right.
it pops open his friend's eyeball, and you're like, so to me that was normal, but it's not normal. So I have a chapter in that book called "Your Normal's Not My Normal." Do you remember
Yes,
that?
I remember
well,
that.
yeah.
And going back to that, how you get your content for your books. I know that, you've mentioned this before. It's in your books and some of your books. Tell us about that little 10-minute window of time that you spend just jotting down your ideas on a daily or weekly basis.
So if anybody knows me, I have an affair with my purse, trying to grab a piece of notebook paper out of there and a pen. You should see I'm that woman. And so I have tiny notebooks all around the house still, and I write them down. And then something that I copied, so I don't have credit for this, but James Altucher, one of the authors that I look up to, the businessman, is like, number 1 through 10, and give yourself 10 minutes. So it's 1 minute per idea. And I would do that. I've done that for a while. I've got thousands of ideas. Like they don't even have to be good or bad. And you just jot them down. It's called a brain dump. And we need to do a brain dump. Like I said, in long time ago, we couldn't meet this many people in one day. You and I will meet more people today than our grandparents met in the whole year. So all that information, so I dump it out, and I number 1 through 10 and dump those out. And so
And that's how your books come out.
And that's how the books
A lot of
come
times
out,
they
'cause
come
I
out.
guess, and
or
then-
they're titles of your chapters in your book.
Yes, and then I'm just a sarcastic person, and I'm a smart
By
ass.
nature,
By
that's
nature,
just the way you are.
I am, and that's from my grandmother Juanita. She's not here anymore, but she was a hoot. She was crazy.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
she was
great.
a huge influence on me.
Well, that's a great thing because your books really reflect that. So
Yes.
they're very enjoyable.
They're very enjoyable. They're she spoke her mind, and she didn't give a shit. She just she was just that strong Latina that been through a lot, and she
Yeah.
just I'm just going to say things. And
Yeah.
I was always shocked. But it was good. It was good.
yeah, but that's a good thing. So, what did I know? Laura had something she wanted you to
She's dying
read.
for me to
I
read.
wanted her
is
to
that?
do an author reading for us from her latest book.
Wonderful.
So if you could.
Well, this is from page 14. It's a new day. Don't be a shithead. Sharon offers slightly positive, disruptive strategies to how to stop procrastinating and smack down the BS in your life. So each page is sprinkled with her moxie thoughts and her smarty ass intellectual sarcasm. I won't go into the rest because it is definitely advisory, but are you ready? I'm going to read it.
we're
Okay.
ready.
So being different is awesome and scary. Why? I can speak from personal experience. When I decided to create the bitchybusinessbriefs.com, I wanted it to be different yet accepted. Well, that's not how it works. Not everyone is going to get it or like it. That's all right. There are many people who do. So yes, there's an audience for those awesome people, and we effing click, and I write for us, the ones who are odd, adaptable, resourceful, with dreams that cannot be calculated by a statistic. So because you usually want to make sure that change you're doing is accepted by everyone, well, it's not going to work. It's not going to. So don't worry about that. Your change is how you grow. I mean, you just have to keep growing, and you can't be concerned with what people are going to think, as long as it's positive.
Exactly.
You know, if it's a negative thing that you're doing, then no. But if it's a positive thing, yeah, you can't worry. And you'll have family that are like, oh my God, you don't come here no more. No, I don't, because you're a jerk. You know, I can't be around you no more.
Right.
Yeah, you have to. Sometimes you've got to stay away from toxic people. It's that simple. You've got to protect
Completely.
yourself.
Exactly.
You got to do whatever it takes
protect
to
your
help-
energy.
to protect yourself.
Absolutely.
Your energy. Absolutely.
So that was good. But this book, what I love about this book is I took all the memes that I created from 2014 up until now, because that's where lots of content was dumped, and how so there's a short story. Can't read that, but you know, it'll come up.
If you buy the book, you can read it though.
You can read it. So it'll tell you real short, like how did I come up with that?
Oh,
It'll tell you the story. Liz is like, this was not what you expected, Liz. She's like, oh, I can tell. Friend request yourself. You know, everybody says that. So you got to be BFFs with yourself. So that's best friends forever, because if you don't, I mean, that you go everywhere. In a restaurant, in a party, you are your best friend. So you're always looking for yourself, even when you're lost and you're looking for your car, right? You're cussing, you're your best friends forever. So it's all right to be best friends forever with yourself, because you need to find the car.
Well, that's true.
there you go.
Yes. Well, some great advice. So where can people find your books?
On Amazon. They're all on Amazon. I do keep a stock of books in my studio. And then Middle Finger Happiness, I'm very proud of that book. It is now in the Carl Jung Center. Carl Jung was a philosopher, anthropologist, kind of like Friedrich Nietzsche. Again, I go back to your counseling because you had to do all the psychology. There's only a few of these. I think there's LA, New York, Chicago, and Houston. And so it's in the museum district. And it sold out. And then it got restocked again. And then I'm going to be putting some books at the Twig in San Antonio. Also, I think Brazo's bookstore here in Houston.
Awesome. And then people can find out more about you you've got your podcast, right? What is the name of your podcast?
So the podcast is also Middle Finger Happiness. Work hard, live well. Don't, F with me. Yeah, I'm totally trying to keep it clean here. So if you listen to my podcast, we just say whatever.
And then you've got your blog.
The blog, which is Business Briefs. And I have to tell you a story on how that came about.
Tell us.
So when I got laid off, I'm driving down 610, knuckle gripping, white knuckles. And I was listening to some motivational tape. I think it was Grant Cardone. And he was like, yeah, don't be a little, don't. And when he said that, I was like, ooh, yeah, don't be a little bitch. So I was like, okay, the business blog. So it was the business blog. And a week later, I sat down with a friend of mine who she is acquaintances with Oprah. And she sat with me. She's like, it's not a blog. Just drop the word blog. And I'm like, but what is it? She's just, you write very short. I'm like, it's a brief. So business briefs.
Yeah, I love the names.
Yeah.
I mean, you come up with amazing names. I tell you that. I love the names of your books.
Thank you.
Everything, the podcast.
Yay.
Yeah, I just love it.
And I still don't feel like it's special. I'm like, this is just stuff that oozes out of my head. And I'm like, is it?
Well, it's special because, we hear it. It's not like we don't hear it. We see it. We hear it. But, for some reason, it means something to you. It clicks with you, for you, and you know how to express it.
Right.
I mean, you're an artist. It's just put it that way.
And
it's
one
that
of the things
simple.
that I think somebody asked me this, how do you do what you do? I'm like, honestly, I still don't think nobody's going to read what I write. And as long as I stay in that little mentality, then I think I'll be okay.
Yeah, well, you're doing it for yourself.
Exactly.
Oh, absolutely.
You're doing it for
Yeah.
yourself.
A friend of mine, Manuel, who's a playwright, told me the day you start writing not for yourself is when you will no longer be a good writer. All good writers write for themselves.
About that. Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Well, we're going to take another little break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to ask you the 4 questions we ask every guest. So get ready.
Uh-oh.
Hi, this is Elizabeth Miranda, your Texas bilingual realtor and broker owner of Miranda Properties. If you are looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate, give me a call. 832-404-6462. I would love to be your realtor.
And we are back with our guest today, Sharon Lee Zapata. She is the No Filter author, writer, artist, and host of her own podcast, Middle Finger Happiness. And recently, her latest book is It's a New Day, Don't Be a So we're back with Sharon. And we wanted to also, before we close out the show, ask you, what are some of the events that you have coming up?
Oh, great question. So the month of August, and actually I'll start with July 31st, which is next week. I have it's called the Fearless Mid-Year Vision Board. So we have 5 months left in the year. If you kind of drop the ball or whatever, and you kind of need a redo,
Pick it back up
because life happens. And then August 1st, I have How to Start Your Own Podcast in 30 minutes. Now, it's not going to be the whole detail, but I learned some lessons and I want to share those. And then August 15th, we have How to Use Canva, and you're going to get 101 free fantastic visual designs. There's 3 people that are going to do the workshop, myself included. Sip and Paint is coming, and then I can't remember the other. Second Saturday at the Silos. So second Saturday at the Silos. Do you know where the Silos
Yes.
are? Okay, it's the largest art district in the nation. People need to go there. It's like food trucks, and all the studios are open. And definitely,
And they have vendors, right? Like the street
Everything.
trucks, but also some people selling some rare items.
Artisan. It's really a great, you can spend the whole day there. Now, this Saturday will be the last time. It's going to be from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., but it's usually from 12 noon to 5. But I think because of the summer. So,
summer
but it's
hours.
great. I get between 100, 150 people in my studio.
Wow, those all sound like very good events.
They're fun. Thank you.
Definitely.
Yeah,
So
fun
they could just look you up on Facebook, maybe.
Well, they also could go to registerfortheevent.com. Everything's there.
Okay, super. Cool. All right. Well, now we're moving on to our next section, which is asking you our 4 questions that we ask every guest. So, Laura, let's just start.
First question.
Every
It's a really fun
It's
part.
like
Not that the rest hasn't been fun, because
Every
it's been
guest
awesome.
gets this treatment.
So your first question is, what was your first job? And tell us something interesting about it.
Taco Bell. 16 years old, Taco Bell, Portland, Oregon, Gresham, Oregon, actually. Just wanted to make some money. And you know how they fold those tacos? Well, if you break the taco, it goes to it does go to the trash. You cannot break those crunchy tacos. So sometimes I would break them. So I could take some home. Yeah, I would come home with like 10 extra tacos.
That's so funny.
Taco Bell.
When we're young, the things that we do in our first jobs.
Yeah, like, nobody's going to know.
That's funny. All right. Question number 2 is, what advice would you give to someone that wants to have a career, or actually, you know what, it says in your profession, but basically someone who wants to be an author, who wants to write a book? What advice would you give to someone?
Well, first of all, you may have to listen to someone else's voice until you find your own voice, because you got to find your own voice. You have to go balls deep. I don't know if that's offensive, but you have to go balls deep every day and write at least an hour. It's not like, I don't feel like it. No, it's a job. It's a job. And a good writer reads.
Right.
Steven Spielberg said that. So I read a lot of all kinds of stuff, from the New York Times to, just books, magazines. I'm always reading. But yeah, you have to write every day and find your voice. But if you don't know how to find your voice, which happened to me 10 years ago, start finding people that inspire you, other podcasts or the women, men, and listen to that.
Yeah, great advice. That is great.
Super.
Yeah.
And question? Oh, okay. Well, then you want me to ask question number 3?
Yes, I don't remember it, so
I'll
go ahead and
on
ask
with
it.
Question number 3. All right. Question number 3. If you won the lottery and never had to work again, how would you spend the days of your life?
Ooh, man. That's a good question. I got to answer that quickly, huh? Because you got people listening. Oh, well, how would I spend the days? Well, you know what? I would sleep more. I love sleep.
Me too.
I do. I really love sleep. I don't like to get up early, but I have to. I don't know. I would just relax. I would relax. I'd go up in the mountains. I love the mountains. I like hiking. I'd live up in the cabins and you know what? Do more artwork. I would definitely do that in the beginning. I would chill, but that's a big question. I know I would help other people because that's a lot of money, and you got to leave a legacy behind. So I would do that.
Would you continue to do what you're doing as far as your blog, your podcast?
Yeah, I still would. That's something that I would never. I'll be doing that till I'm no longer here. That last one, I'll be 80 years old, and I'll still be like, I was that woman, 15 items or less, but I had 40.
Right.
And I'm 90, so get in line.
I'm staying here. I'm not moving.
Yeah, you can't get mad at a little old lady like that.
Exactly.
That will be funny. You're funny now. You're going to be really funny then.
With a middle finger happiness t-shirt.
Right.
Oh, funny.
So the
next
last question of the 4 questions is, if you had a superpower, if you I totally butchered that. Okay. What is your superpower? And if you
superpower.
don't have one,
Ooh.
what would you want it to be?
We chatted about this a little bit before. So I did say I have this saying, first, be helpful, bring value, and become necessary. If we were to all do that in our businesses, because yes, we all want to make a sale. And by the way, everything is a sale. Teachers sell education. When your girlfriend says, hey, you want to go to lunch, she's selling you on the idea to go lunch. But first, be helpful, bring value, and become necessary. And I know Matt grinned because I did say this. I want to be that person that if Facebook went down, you'd miss my ass. You'd be like, oh, I can't, whatever it was, that little thing that, I want to be able to still help people with. So.
Yeah, that's
it.
You're
a
on
great
your way
superpower.
because
Yeah.
you're certainly making an impression, I think, on people.
Thank
Absolutely.
You.
Yeah,
Well, Thank
exactly.
you. I appreciate that.
Yes, and we want to thank you for being here, and really, really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to. I haven't read all your books, but I'm going to.
I forgot something.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. So there's a nonprofit here in Houston because I always want to attach myself to a nonprofit, and there's one called Sight and Sound, and they read to the blind. So next Monday, I'm going to start reading the Houston Chronicle. So my voice will be available for blind people.
Oh, wow.
It'll be the Chronicle. So I'm just reading, guys. I don't have any opinions. It's just whatever they ask me to read. So I'll be reading the Houston Chronicle.
So you're not going to add any of your little.
No, I can't. I have to just. They tell me just read. Please read.
And where's this going to be found? Where
This is oh my goodness, I don't want to butcher it like you said, but they've been around a long time. Sight and Sound has been around a long time. You guys can Google it. It's here in Houston on Essex Lane, and Jim, who's the manager, the owner of this nonprofit. I mean, they read everything from CNN to Rolling Stone magazine. This is again for the blind, and so being a writer, I thought, well, where could I volunteer my time? Because I've done other nonprofits, but this one I thought that's kind of neat.
Yeah.
And as a podcaster, like it only takes 30 minutes to just read. They just want 30 minutes of your time to read the Chronicle
Well, that sounds.
So you'll be the voice of the Houston Chronicle.
for the blind.
That's awesome. Though.
Kind of cool.
Yeah,
I don't know what
is.
section. Just
That
give me
is.
the. I don't know. They'll find out when I get there.
So it sounds like fun. Well, again, thank you very much. And the best way for someone to reach you is.
Ooh, you know what? They can go to hashtag Sharon Lee Zapata in a browser bar. I Googled myself the other day and
You showed up.
I showed up very quickly. A friend of mine showed me how to do
So
that.
you're easy to find.
I'm just very easy to find. I cannot hide any longer.
And you are on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.
Instagram, Twitter, and even Pinterest. We have some
Oh, okay.
Pinterest out
I
there.
didn't know that.
Yes, and Tumblr.
Okay.
But yeah, Sharon Lee Zapata, She Business Briefs, or the Zapata Group.
And on Twitter, your handle is Sharon Lee Zapata, so
my
it's
name.
easy to find.
That's easy to find.
All right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much for being on the show. It's been a pleasure.
Yay.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Casa Y Vida. Please subscribe to our podcast and share it with others. You can also find us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube as Casa Y Vida. If you would like to recommend guests or topics, please send an email to lizmirandatx@gmail.com. Gracias.